Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode of Don't Fear the Wait podcast with me, your tiny Titan host. I do apologise if it is a bit echoey in here. I have literally just got my kitchen back, so it's like we haven't moved into the house yet. You know, nothing's in it, so it's a bit echoey. I apologise. But it's good to be back on the podcast, and today I have got a very dear friend of mine who's also an amazing human being and a phenomenal Willy Wonka in the bakery industry of bodybuilding. So if you haven't heard of the Willy Wonka of the bodybuilding industry, it is the founder and producer and head baker of Build and Bake Brownies, Matt McDade. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hello, Vicky. That's probably the nicest introduction I've ever had. I'd have just said, "This is Matt, the owner of Build and Bake." But thank you. And it's actually a bit nervous for me because this is my first ever podcast. So, but hello.
Hi. There is literally nothing to worry about. I mean, if people do not know, the thing is, right, you deserve a really good introduction, mainly because you're my friend and I love you to death, but also because you are doing so many good things in the world of fitness. And it isn't just bodybuilding, you know, it's powerlifting, strong women, strong men, everybody who wants to have that little bit of nicety, but without almost the quote unquote guilt from their chocolate fixes. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just in the fitness industry, but it's actually all over the place, even people who are looking into slimming worlds and things like that.
Yeah.
But if people don't know about Build and Bake and about Matt, why don't you just give us a little bit of a background of who you are and, you know, why you're so amazing?
Such an open question, isn't it? So, okay, so my sort of background is I was always quite, I wasn't overweight, I was just quite big. Never really was into training, like didn't really know about gyms and just likes food. I've always loved baking, always loved cooking. My mum is, you know, she's into baking. She, you know, she did wedding cakes and things like that. So there came a point in time where I thought, you know what, it's about time I sort of get a little bit fitter and lose some weight. So joined a gym and basically started losing weight, started really getting into it. And there come a point where I was sort of like dieting. I was sort of winging it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just following stuff online. And the struggle that I found was just having. I'm a big foodie, so there was nothing out there that was really hitting that sweet, like that craving. I think at the time Quest bars were all the rage, and let's be honest, they are absolutely pants now. Yeah, they are. And I was going through boxes of them because that was the only thing that was really out there that could sort of like satiate your sort of like craving. And I started sort of creating and I looked at what ingredients was in the bars. I looked at, you know, online at how to sort of, you know, use protein powder in cooking, because everyone can chuck some oats and peanut, like some protein powder together and mix it. That's not ideal. So how to cook with protein powder, what to use, and just sort of like experimented with different things like making energy balls, and they were just a bit rubbish. I did start off do sort of cheesecakes, and they were really good actually. And I actually used a lot of them during my when I competed in 2017. It's basically like using at the time quite wasn't very well known. It was kind of like a hidden gem of the fitness world. And then stumbled across, beetroot brownies and things like that.
Yeah.
And I tried them, and they were disgusting. And at the time, I was eating sweet potato like it was just going out of fashion. And I just decided one day to blitz them up, add in some cocoa powder, some sweetener, some stevia, and just like that, and leave it like that, a bit of protein powder. And I was like, this is all right. It's not great, but it's all right. And then slowly but surely, I sort of just refined it, edited this recipe, and I thought this is actually quite good. I was lucky enough to be invited down to Grenade Fit, and they wanted me to bring sort of like treats down and sort of like lower calorie, high protein stuff. So I thought, you know what, this is time I sort of, you know, do the brownies. So I've made a load of brownies and did some other things and brought them down, and they said, look, you know, we want to put an order in. I was like, oh, I'll just do this on the side. I think at the time I was in the police force, and I just thought, this is mad. Like there's people out there that want these products, you know, and it just went on from there. I started sort of refining it, creating a logo, creating a brand, and just thought, I've just got to go for it. I'd be disappointed if I didn't go for it and somebody else come up with an idea. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen, you know? And I just went for it.
Yeah. And then that is how Build and Bake was born.
Exactly that.
So you started doing all of the brownies and people started ordering, and then all of a sudden things started becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where you were like, wow, I can actually not be a police officer anymore and not be in the forces. So what was it that actually made you do that final leap out of your full-time job and into something that was like this?
So actually, I've only really been doing this full time for around about, it's just over a year,
Yeah, yeah.
probably a year to the day. So I when I left the police force, I was doing it, but I had a bit of a panic moment. I sort of thought to myself, you know, I'm getting a good revenue coming in, but is it enough to sustain a mortgage, you know, bills, a car, a lifestyle? And I thought, I just had this panic. I had this sort of waver of confidence, and was like, what happens if it fails? What happens if it does this? And I actually got another job. And I did that for a year. And during that time, I was sort of basically working from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock as a normal job. And then as straight as I'd finish, I'd get home and I'd bake from 5 till 1 or 2 in the morning, and it would just all start again. And I basically put in the hardest sort of shifts of my life during that year period, because like there was just non-stop. At the weekend, that was the only time I'd get to do a lot of baking. So I just would bake then, trying to juggle, you know, social life, the gym. And that was probably the hardest point for me, where it was finally like, something's going to have to give. You know, am I going to get ill? Am I going to like get really like seriously ill if I keep pushing myself to the limit? And it was finally sort of sitting down and going, I'm doing okay, I'm doing good, but if I can put all my energy, and instead of giving my energy to another company, and splitting it, if I give all my energy into my own company, and I could work from 8 o'clock in the morning till whenever I wanted to, could I make this work? Could I make it bigger than what it is? And I left in the October, I think it was, or the August, and the month after was the best month I've ever had. And the month after that, it just goes to show, like, I was so nervous, I was so scared, but I could pour all my energy into it. I had the time in the morning to make, you know, to either bake more or to make more calls, you know, just to speak to other companies and say, look, do you want to stock our product? To focus more on the social media, building up the community, replying back to people, and just didn't look back. Didn't look back. From the first day of just leaving the job and started paying myself, like yeah, it's amazing.
It's a phenomenal feeling, and it's a phenomenal empire that you've actually created. And I say empire, like, not in the loosest of terms, but actually in quite big seriousness, because you are quite massive now. You know, I mean, the amount of influence that Build and Bake Brownies have on so many people. I can speak for my clients myself, because my clients avidly use your proteas as well as your Build and Bake Brownies. But proteas are their bench fuel for my powerlifters, so they always go and have
If
a protein.
it works.
It does. And this is the point. It's like I say to people, yeah, these are my secret weapons, whether they're about, you know, either mini Weetabix or proteas. You know, it's little seeds like that, because they are wholesome and full ingredients that you use. You don't use any fillers or shit or anything. But now, I called you the Willy Wonka of the Build and Bake Brownie world. Now, you have come up with some really elaborate flavors over, well, the last 12 months, realistically. What made you think that it would be a good idea to just kind of stray away from the normal dark chocolate flavor and that kind of thing, and want to make something a little bit different and a little bit better, but within people's macronutrient allowances?
So the thing for me with sort of food, and there's when you're eating food, you eat food because it either tastes really good or it's really interesting, or something sort of just takes your fancy, like, this is different. And for me, like, different is always quite good. And I remember back to, it's weird you say Willy Wonka, but I remember there was a chocolate bar, and it was a Willy Wonka chocolate bar, and it was bright green, and it had little purple bits in it. It was like I think it was called a snozzberry bar, and it was so weird. It was so weird, but it was so nice.
Yeah.
And I've had other things, like I think I had a donut, and it was a maple and bacon donut. It actually had pieces of bacon in it, and I thought, I would never have had that. Like, I know they have it in American things, but it's a bit of an acquired taste. So I just thought, I've got to do something different. You know, the macros are good and that's all well and good, but there are other things out there. I know that it's not the highest protein treat out there,
Sure.
but I need to do something which means, you know, I want to use whole foods. I don't want it to be full of crap. I want it to be good on the digestion because I have like minor IBS and things like that. So I don't want it to affect people like when it's full of like the sugar alcohols,
Yeah,
or
polyol.
sort of the fake fiber. So basically when you see like a protein bar and it says 22 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of sugar, and then 20 grams of polyols or anything like that is just insoluble fiber. So it's just going to go right through you, and it's not good on your digestion. It's not good on, especially if you have more than one. It's not good for like bloating. It's, you know, which if you're competing and things like that can obviously affect mental state and things. So I wanted it to be easy to digest. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be tasty, and I want it to be different. So obviously the sweet potato helps with most of that, but with the flavors, I just sort of thought, why not? A lot of the times, for me, it's about creating. Like, I love running a business, but I love being in it, making stuff. Like, that's my forte, is to create flavors and to create unique things which are completely different. So there's plenty of flavors that I've done which I've never released, and I never will release because they are so bad, but they're different. And there's certain ones, like a bubblegum one at the start that I did maybe a year ago, refined it a little bit and got it tastes a bit like Hubba Bubba now.
Yeah.
You would never have seen that in a brownie. And theoretically, sometimes it doesn't go. You think chocolate and bubblegum, but what you sort of get is when you bite into it and you taste that bubblegum, straight away you're like, it's bubblegum. And that's what I like. I like it, you know, whether it goes or not, it's that initial like, that's weird, but I kind of like it. So I think for me, it's just about seeing people sort of stray from the norm. Everyone has a chocolate brownie, everyone likes Biscoff, but the premium box, there's always a flavor or two which is a bit of a wild card or a bit different to what people are used to, and it kind of forces people to have it. If you buy the premium box, you get all those flavors. But it's nice because there's been countless of flavors that people have been like, oh, I don't really like that, and yet when they've had the box, they've eaten it and they've been like, that is my favorite one. And it's nice to get people to sort of go, right, look, just trust me on this. I promise you, I would not put a flavor in the box if it was crap. That's what I would say to people. Like, when we do the premium boxes, it takes me a while to sort of go through the flavors and sort of test them. And I would not put a flavor in there which didn't work or didn't taste good. Otherwise, it wouldn't sell.
Well, this is it. That's a really good point, actually. How did you manage to find people's buy-in? As in, like, how did you create that buy-in especially from when you actually left your job or when people first started doing it? Now, I remember when you came down to a little bit of a team meeting in Birmingham, and you brought your very first, it was a huge box, and everybody was kind of dipping in, and there was some cream egg ones and there was other ones like that and that kind of thing. But how did you actually create that buy-in? Because it's just like, oh, it's a brownie made out of sweet potatoes. That's weird.
So for me, it just came it was just quite authentic, quite natural. Like, obviously, knowing people like you, AJ, Jack Thorburn, just through like either competing, meeting them at shows. I think I was actually backstage in my 2017 show. AJ was actually there and he was competing himself. And you chat to people and you build that relationship and with fellow bodybuilders, people that compete. And I was lucky enough to have a job. So if any money came in with Build and Bake, it would just go straight back to creating more products. And I think at the time you do have to sacrifice a bit of time and effort. You have to give away free things. You have to bring in, and you know, I took things into my gym. If I would ever go and meet any friends, I would always bring something. I'd always bring a box of brownies. If I went to see family, I'd do the same. Any event I'd go to, I'd always bring something, because it's not only is it marketing, I want people to try it. I wanted feedback. I wanted people to say, right, instead of being, oh, it's really nice, I want people to say, no, I want you to give me the detail of what it is. Do you like the texture? Do you like the flavors? Do you like this? Or what don't you like? Because I wanted to make the perfect product. So for me, it was just about, it's difficult because trying to sell somebody a sweet potato brownie is very difficult, because it's mashed potato in a brownie.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. You're eating mashed potato, really, and it's difficult. But honestly, what really helps is knowing people. It's the social media. It's piquing people's interest. because people will see it, and there's people that will engage with us on social media, and they might not buy for a couple of months because they need to build that confidence of, is it really that good?
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's about curiosity. People are like, what's this? I've never had a sweet potato brownie. I'm gonna give it a go. So it's about everything. It's about creating that whole. What I wanted is to create that whole atmosphere and the package around it. It's not just buying a box and that's it. I wanted to create the sort of perfect environment. So from the get-go, from either discovering us or speaking to us on Instagram, to receiving your box, to the after sort of care, so speaking to them and saying, was it okay, how did you find it? And I feel like it's not just about selling someone a product, it's about the whole package. It's the customer service, it's the delivery, it's the box, it's the little detail things, and a lot of effort goes into all those little things to make sure that people have like not just a product but a good experience.
Definitely. Okay, so now that we know a lot about you, Build and Bake, and how the whole thing kind of came about, what is it? Now, this might be a little bit of a taboo subject, but I think it is worth talking about realistically because of the kind of brownies that you make. They're low calorie, they're macro friendly. We are talking about all these kind of things here. What is it that you think is beneficial about having something like this in terms of mindset for people who are competing, whether it be in a strength sport or an aesthetic sport? Why do you think it's very, very important to have treats like this? I mean, I say treats loosely, as opposed to just kind of saying, well, it's all right, don't have that when you're competing, just have dark chocolate instead.
So I think for me personally, I can only speak from sort of like experience and what I see. There comes a point, especially if you're competing or you're dieting, where everyone has that weak moment. There's always that weak moment, and sometimes you can look past that. Some people obviously will either binge or have something and feel guilty, and the reality is that you shouldn't feel guilty for having something, and because it causes a load of other issues, and mental health, especially during bodybuilding, especially in prep stage, can be at rock bottom. And that's why I always take my hat off to anybody that competes or anybody who's in this sort of industry, because I don't think people realize how hard it is, how lonely it is, and how difficult mentally, and how strong you have to be to actually step on stage and be the best you can be when mentally you're probably at the lowest you probably are. So for me, it's having a product there which you can eat, and it is whole foods, and it is actually proper food. It just gives it that normality. You're not eating just like rice cakes, or you're not eating just a quark yogurt with a bit of like chemical sweetener in. You're actually having something which is made from real food. Okay, they are quite small, and they will just fill you up for the slight period of time, but it's that slight bit of normality. You are eating theoretically a cake still, you're eating a brownie. So I feel like instead of feeling guilty, you're just having that one thing, it's between 100 and 130 calories or what have you. And once you've had that, you've sort of ticked it off. That's it now. I think it limits, it sort of stops people from maybe binging, or stops people from sort of spilling over a little bit, because for me, if I have dark chocolate, I won't stop at one square. It's really difficult. But with I think I'm probably a little bit biased, but if I've said, look, I'm having one brownie, then I will just have one brownie, and it is quite filling. So because of the fiber content in it. So yeah.
I think it's also a texture kind of thing, isn't it? Because the brownies that you do are very textural. Is that a word? I might have just made that up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with that. It sounds like a word. So
yeah.
But I mean, I think it's 63% of the brownie is sweet potato. And it's obviously cooked 3 times. Yeah, it's cooked 3 times. So, and then like pureed down. So the texture pretty much comes from the fact that sweet potato has a stupid amount of fiber in there. And like any carbohydrate source, if you've ever cooked pasta, cooled it down and recooked it and reheated it up, it does feel thicker and heavier. Nothing changes. The actual molecule structure changes in carbohydrates. It's better for you. But with the sweet potato, it just gives it that firmness, that thickness, and I feel like that's just one of the main things that you said. You're not eating just like an airy product. It's quite dense. I know it's small, but it is quite dense, which sort of fills you up. So it's helpful.
Yeah, it is definitely helpful. And like we were just saying there about with the mindset of bodybuilding, bodybuilding is such a lonely sport. And sometimes, especially with women when they have, we were talking about it off air as well, weren't we? But especially when women, when they have their menstrual cycle and they come up and they have these cravings and they're just like, I just want to sit down under a blanket and eat chocolate. Having that little kind of under 100-calorie snack as such, which is going to satisfy a craving. And if people haven't tried the Build and Bake brownies, I'm not being funny, but they do satisfy cravings. They are not just like a little square of dark chocolate. People who say like, if you crave dark chocolate or crave chocolate in general, eat magnesium or up your magnesium. It's not just, no, just have some chocolate.
I think a lot of the time it isn't just like scientifically that is kind of correct. Like it's the chemicals which you crave, which what have you. But realistically, when you have dark chocolate, you want the whole experience again. You don't just want the magnesium, you want the feel of it, you want the bit of the cocoa rush, the sugar rush, the texture, and the fact that you're eating something. So I kind of get what they say, but I don't agree with that. Like you're right. If you want some dark chocolate, if you or some peanut butter, or whatever, that's what you should have. Yeah.
It is. It's a funny one, isn't it? So let's talk about people post-show. Now, I'm pretty sure post-competing, you have had people who have been like, right, Matt, make me the biggest brownie that you can make in the biggest mold that you can find. Now, you're not going to say no to people with that, but how are you in terms of like advocating that? This is a little bit of like a bottom line job.
So I always actually say to people, especially with like the king size brownies they want, like the king size brownie can be for one person, but realistically it's I say it does 12 portions, so it can do 12 people. I brought a product out there which is aimed to sort of aid you in weight loss or to keep your calories like under control or just to enjoy a healthier treat, so you don't have to eat any, you know, donuts or what have you. Though there's nothing wrong with donuts. So I always say, like, if that's what they want, that's what they want. Like at the end of the day, I'm a company. Like if that's what they want, that's what they get. But I always say to them, the king size brownie is still healthy. I'm not gonna change the recipe. I'm not gonna add a load of sugar or chocolate into it just to make it more calorific for you, because isn't like the aim of a post-show treat, in my opinion, isn't to binge on the things you've missed. It's just to have something that you want to enjoy. And if I can make a king size brownie that's still fairly healthy, yeah, they might eat the whole thing, and you're looking at around about 1,400 calories. But isn't that better? Like if it, in layman's terms, if I give you a salted caramel brownie and it's a king size one, which is what's quite popular for post show, if I can make that lower calorie than let's say something like another brownie, another big box of brownies with Reese's in, caramel, M&Ms, everything ram full. If you're going to enjoy that as much as you enjoyed that, like why not go for why not? You've just been healthy and trying to be, you know, very clean for 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks or what have you. Why not keep like sticking with it? Like have your treat still. You've still got a king size brownie there. Still definitely going to satisfy you, but it's not going to make you feel like absolute shit.
See, that's the difference, isn't it? When people have these big junk filled ones with all of like the crap all over it, you do feel like shit straight away.
I try and say to people, like, I get a lot of people that say, right, I want a king size brownie. I want it like Reese's flavor, Kinder Bueno, this and this. And I said, I can do that. I can put Reese's and Kinder Bueno in if you want that. It's going to up the calories, or I can make my own type of thing. I can make a peanut flavored like Reese's thing. I can the sort of filling that I use for the Kinder Bueno brownie does actually taste like Kinder Bueno. So, you know, if they want that, they can have that. But I can do a healthier version. And I always say that. I say I can do a healthy. Sometimes I can't. You know, if you want a jammy dodgy one, you're going to get jammy dodgers on it, unfortunately. Yeah. that is quite funny when people say, "How do you get a jammy dodger one to taste like jammy dodger?" Other than the sort of, I do like a strawberry protein filling to sort of mimic the jam. But the jammy dodger on top, I'm like, it's a mini jammy dodger.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's what, 21 calories,
something along those lines. Yeah, it's nothing.
But who has one? And that's the issue. Like when people say, how do you get the M&Ms on top of that? Well, an M&M's actually about 5 calories. It's not, or even less, I think 3 or 5, but no one has just one singular M&M. You have one bag. So that's good, because sometimes all you need is that initial taste. And it goes back to what we were saying about that craving is, you know, if you have an M&M brownie, you're going to get 2 M&Ms or 2 or 3, depending on the weight of it, on your brownie. But that might just be enough for you.
Yeah.
Instead of having that small king size, like the small bag or the snap bag and things like that. So yeah.
It does. It makes a big difference, actually, a big difference. I was talking to one of my mates about cravings and things like that, and he said that within prep, he remembered actually taking a bit of artificial sweetener, putting it on his finger and licking it, and knowing that that was like the best flavored thing ever in the world. And yet now, when he's in full on off season, he's like, holy shit, these things are horrific and they're awful. So like you were saying, in prep, even if it's just a little bit of like a something to take that craving off, you have no idea how amazing brownies taste when you haven't got them.
I mean,
you can do it.
It is definitely amazing how much prep sort of messes with your taste buds. And what you think is really good, actually, you look back and you think, why the hell was I eating that?
Oh, it's
like,
dreadful.
Granted, there's some things that I could probably still stomach. I remember the age-old trick of mini cucumber sticks with stevia. It isn't that bad. It isn't that bad. It's weird, and I kind of like it, but it's not my go-to.
No,
I'd rather have something else. But there's some very, very strange things that I ate and did, which I'm probably not going to say on here, but just weird things you would never put together, and at the time you think it's the best thing ever, and actually, oh no,
it really isn't.
Yeah.
Bless
So,
you.
but the good thing is my brownies are going to taste way better if you're on prep. So
This
happy
is
days.
true. Exactly that. So I know that we are coming up on time, and I know you're massively busy and things like that. So a couple of quick fire questions that I had from the Instagram socials, if that's okay. Why did you choose brownies over any other special treat?
Honestly, just because it's very relatable and easily identifiable. So straight as you go, like desserts or treats and things like that, usually the things are donuts and brownies. Usually, I would say. So, and I tried doing donuts and it's very difficult. So brownies.
But you did make me a jammy donuts in a brownie. That was incredible. I think that has to be my favorite. And
what people don't understand about that is it takes ages to do that. There's a reason why I haven't released that as a flavor. It's so time consuming, like days.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel very special.
But I am going to do some limited runs of them once. Yes.
Once in a lifetime.
Once I can get some stuff sorted, I'm going to do it.
Exciting. I shall watch out for that. Honestly, guys, this is like the best thing since sliced bread. It's incredible. Right, okay, next one. Talking about favorite flavors. What is your favorite creation that you have done?
My favorite creation, rhubarb and custard.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
That is a decent one.
Or one that I've just done today, which is a drumstick flavor.
Oh, drumstick.
Like drumstick lolly, yeah.
Nice. I am interested on that one. Okay, so worst flavor.
Worst flavor, lemon and passion fruit. I did not like that
really?
One. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. Really weird. The pips were weird as well. No, not
pips are weird in passion fruit. I can get that.
Yeah, not for me.
Fair dues. Okay, so one of these ones. Have you done something that you thought might work, but that ended up being an absolute bomb site of a creation?
Oh, so many times. I did a maple and bacon brownie, and that, like, just saying it out loud, sweet potato brownie with bacon, it just tasted like an actual meal. That did not work. Yeah, that didn't work at all. I've done a few things that need to be binned instantly.
Oh dear, bless you. I know that we talked about doing a fruit and nut one, and that it didn't work because of things like sinking to the bottom or something.
Yeah, fruit, it contains a lot of water, so water and brownies never really go well together, so it just becomes soggy. And the texture wise, the flavor isn't bad, it's the texture. It tastes like you're eating sloppy brownie, and that's no, I'm not going to put anyone through that. I
think we'll leave it from there, won't we? Okay, final one then before I let you keep on going on. You have created some blondies as opposed to brownies. What is the difference?
So the difference basically is there isn't any cocoa powder in there. There's a few secret ingredients in there, and there's actually more. There's two different types of potato in that one. There's like a sweet potato, and there's a sweet potato powder which has been refined down, and a couple of different types of protein powders, One of them being a nut powder, which is like being completely defatted, and it's just like a really fine powder which uses as a flour. So the texture is a little bit softer. The taste is a bit sweeter. There's a bit more calories in there because of the second type of potato used. But it's just it's basically like, the way I describe it, it's like a vanilla sponge. It's very sort of plain in flavor. The chocolate one is quite bitter in a way, like a bittersweet because of the cocoa powder, where this is more of like a plainy sweeter flavor because of the ingredients used, but there's no chocolate in there, which is interesting, and people actually quite like it. They've become very, very popular, and there will be some news about that within the next 2 months. Yeah.
Very exciting. I'm getting all the secrets out of Matt today. This is very exciting. Right, okay, so very last thing then, if you could give anybody a piece of advice to leave on from Don't Fear the Wait, what would it be?
So business advice, I would say just to weigh up your options and really sort of have a good think, but don't think too much and just really go for it. If you've got a good support structure, friends, family, lean on them, but just go for it, because you'll only be disappointed if you didn't. Life as a whole and fitness and things, I would just say, just work hard, like really, really push yourself. Like I've seen people training and pushing themselves to the absolute limits. Like take that mentality and put it into everything. Put it into your relationships, put it into your job, put it into your whatever you want to do, and you will succeed. And that's I've seen it happen. Like it's not just a fluke. You've got to work hard, but if you work hard, you will get the results you want.
Fabulous. Love it.
Fact.
Matt, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it, because I know being the 1st of September as well, you have launched the September box. So you're just going like crazy with orders, so I won't take up too much more of your time. Guys, I will put all of the links for you to order your own brownies, as well as the special Titan code for you to use in the link below. Well, no, not the link below, but the comment box things on the YouTubes. But go on over if you want to have any particular questions for Build and Bake. Obviously, they will reply. They are extremely good at that. And until the next episode of Don't Fear the Wait, thank you for tuning in. And give us a like, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.